Hello creatives, in this tutorial we'll be learning how to create this kind of church flyer design in this tutorial. So let's get started. This is the artboard we are using and the size is 4 by 5. 4 by 5. So the first thing I'll have to do is to create a gradient. So create a gradient. I'll come down here, click on this, click on the gradient. Then I will move to basic because I want to uh, create a custom gradient. I will click this place. I will make here to be my dark area. So I'll make use of this brownish kind of brownish color. Then I'm using one color but a different shade. So I'll lighten it. This is what we have here. So it's one color but different shade of it. This is a in color theory we call it a monochromatic. One color but different shades of it. The next thing we'll do here is to import our background. The first background we'll be using here. The first background is this background. We'll be using this background here. So what I will do here is I will change the blending mode. I have light screen, color dodge, linear color dodge. Linear color dodge is okay. Well, let me see. No, so I have screen, I have linear color dodge. Okay, let's use screen. Let's use a linear color dodge. Next thing I will do is to add another background to it. Add another background to it. So this is the background I'll be using for it. So it's already on transform. I'll have to increase. I will increase it. I will increase it. So next thing I will do after increasing it, I won't use color. I will use a blending mode for this. Instead, I will use gradient to fade it, to blend it with the background. So I'll add a new layer mask. I'll go to my gradient. If you don't want to stress it, you can just press your G key on your keyboard. It will take you to the gradient mask. So I want to fade, or I want to blend this background with the previous background we used. So I'll hold my shift key. I will drag up to blend it with this is not what I actually want, but okay, let me see. All right, I'm getting it a little. All right, yes. So next thing I will do here is I'll add a little of a Gaussian blur to it. So I'll go to my filter, blur, select Gaussian blur. I'll leave it at 5 points. Okay, let's leave it at 5. I'll leave my Gaussian blur at 5. So another thing I will do here is to get the picture of the minister. That's Apostle Joshua Selman. He is the one we are using for this tutorial. Okay, so this is one of the images I used during the course of the flyer design. So I'll reduce the size of it. I flipped the image, then reduce the size of it. Next thing I will do here is looking at the edge. I'm having a kind of white outline at the edge, so I want to remove this white outline. How do I remove it? I'll hold my control key. I'll click on the thumbnail of this very image to have a selection around it. So I'll go to my select, go to my modify, go to my contrast. I will leave it at 2. Click OK, then click on add layer mask. I've removed the white fringes around Apostle's picture. So next thing I have to do, I want to blend this image. So I don't want to use any of my blending tools. I want to fade it. So I'll go to I'm going to be making use of our gradient tool, but before then, let me rasterize this image, convert to smart objects. All right, then add a new layer. I'll click on my gradients and then still do the same thing I did when blending the other background. So I'll hold my shift key, I will drag up. Okay, let's see. All right, we've succeeded in blending this very image. I will pick another image again. Okay, the image I will, okay, let me use one of his, let's use this, I use this one while creating the, but let's use another image of apostle. Let's use this very image of apostle. So here again, I'll reduce the size of it. I'll reduce the size of it. We are having a fringes too, white fringes at the edge of his picture. So I'll hold my control key, click on the thumbnail of the image, click on select, modify, then click on contrast. I'll click OK, add layer max. I've removed the white fringes. If you look carefully, there's nothing like white outline around his images. So the next thing I will do here is I want to blend this, so I'll rasterize this image, convert to smart layer, add a new layer, go to my gradient tool, hold my shift key and then drag up. Okay, yeah, I've done it. So next thing I want us to do here, I want us to change the color of apostle. So we'll make use of black and white. So I'll go to my image adjustment, I'll click on black and white, I'll click OK. Still repeat the same method with the other image. Okay, so we've succeeded at doing this. The next thing we have to do, I will get one of the elements we'll be making use of. So let's get an element we'll be making use of here, and this is the element here. This is the element. So I'll increase the size a little, bring it down here. Now the reason I'm bringing it down here is I actually want apostle's picture to be around this area, so I have this. I'll go again. Now I want to select apostle's image. This is the image we use. This is the very image we use during the flyer creation. So I'll reduce it a little. This is a little okay. All right, okay, this size is okay. This size is okay. Next thing we'll do here is this image. I will flip this very element. I'll flip it, so I have to transform it. I'll click on Ctrl T to transform. I will right click and then flip horizontal. Yes, I'll flip horizontal, reduce the size a little, okay, we are heading somewhere. All right, so I'll click OK. This apostle's image, if you look carefully, I discovered that there are different lights around his picture. So I will take away this by converting this very image to black and white. But before then, let me remove the fringes around it. So I'll click on Control, click on the thumbnail, select, go to my menu bar, click on select, modify, contrast. I'm still repeating the same thing I did to take away the fringes around the edges of his image. So I'll click on add layer. I've taken it away. I'll bring it back to the normal position where I want it to be. So I want to take away this. I want to convert it to black and white. I'll go to image, add adjustment, and then click on black and white. Yes. So if you look at what we have here now, we are no longer having that different color lights on his image. This is what we have here, and this is what we'll be making use of. I want this very image to be black and white. All right, we'll still make a retouch. We'll still retouch this very image to add more depth to the image, but the one we are using now at the background, we are not going to touch it. The one we are going to touch is his main picture. That's what we are going to touch. So this, let's go to this element. I'll add my layer marks. I want to remove this. I want to clean up this top part. So I'll click on my brush tool. This is my brush tool. I'll click on my brush tool. This is what I'm having. So I'll reduce the size. I'll reduce the size by clicking on this, by going to this very place, reducing the size. Let me increase it a little. Okay, yes. All right. Okay, I just want to fade it. Let's see how it blends with the background. Okay. All right, this is a good one. Next thing we'll do here is we will get the Koinonian. We'll get the Koinonian logo. Get the Koinonian logo desktop. I think all right, this is the Koinonian logo. So I'll reduce the size of it, take it up. All right, in designing, there is what we call contrast. So looking at where the position of the image, looking at where it is and the background it is being placed on, you discover that it is difficult to identify the logo and know what is written on it. So for us to be able to make a good contrast here, we'll change the color of this. So I go to my I go to add a layer style, click on color overlay, then we'll change this very red. Now we'll change it to black. That is, we are doing this because of contrast sake. For the sake of contrast, that is why we are doing this. All right, the next thing to do here is let's retouch the image of Apostle. So I'll click on his picture. I want to take this picture to camera raw filter. So I'll click on Ctrl+Shift+A to take the picture to camera raw filter, where I will have to enhance the quality of the image, get the sharpness, make a little adjustment to it to add little depth to the image. So this is our camera raw filter. I'll add little exposure to it, which is little light. I'll add contrast. A little contrast should be, let's say, 13. Highlight won't be much. When you add highlight, you're adding more of light to his image. So I'll add light should be, let's say, 4. Then I'll reduce the shadow to -3. I'll increase white to 1. Then black, I'll reduce black. I'll leave the black to -. Then this is texture. So I want to add more depth to it. So I'll use texture to do that. I'll leave it at 25. Then clarity, I'll leave the clarity at let's say 14. We are adding sharpness to it. I'll go to my details. This is where I have to sharpen the image. So I'll increase depending on what I want. So I won't take it to 100. I'll just bring it down to somewhere 80. 80 is okay. 80s. Okay, so this noise reduction, if there's any, if you have anything like scratches, you can make use of noise reduction. But when I was editing this very image, I did the noise reduction. I enhanced it to remove the noise reduction. So I'm not going to make use of noise reduction here. So I'll click on my okay. So this is, let me show you. This is no. Okay, this is before, this is after, this is after, this is before, this is after. Okay, so you are seeing differences on it. The next thing we will do here is we get our tests. We're going to get our test here. So the test I made use of was sharp. I made use of the sharp Grotex font. So I'll go to my text bar. I click on it. So the first thing I will do here is to write Koinonia. Let me change the color to white. So I'll be changing the color to white, and then the sharp Grotex, that is the font we'll be making use of, and it has a lot of font style, but we'll be making use of the italic. We'll be using the italic, so let's use okay, this is the very font. This is the very font I initially used. This is the very font I initially used. So what I have to do here is I'll write Koinonia. Here. I'll write Koinonia. I'll write Koinonia. So I've written Koinonia. I will click on Ctrl T to increase. I want to increase the size of the Koinonia. Okay, I'm increasing the size. So if you observe something, the text is above Apostle's image, so I have to bring it below. Okay, this is what we have here. So I will get the X, which is the X on the experience. So we have, it's part of the creativity. Instead of using the normal text X, you make use of your own customized X. So this is the X we are going to be using. So I'll reduce it. I'll change the color overlay. It is dark and is not contrasting with the elements we are placing our theme on. So I'll go to this place, this panel, choose color overlay. So this color overlay, I won't be using black, I won't be using white. I want to use a different color, so I'll use a color like gold to add to make a difference with the text. That is the essence of it. So I'll click OK. This is what we have here. Next thing I have to do, I have to add my E and then add the other text on the experience. So I'll quickly duplicate this Koinonia by holding Ctrl and then press J, Ctrl J to duplicate. I will take it up. So I I want to change this now. I want to change this, so I have my texts on it. Okay. All right, so this is what we are having here, but the is big, so I don't want it to be big. I want to reduce it, so I'll reduce it. Okay, so I have experience. I have this above it, so I will duplicate this again by holding and pressing Ctrl J. I will move it this way. So the only thing I want to do here is just to add my E. So I'll take it this way. This is what we are. Yeah. So, okay, let me transform the our X here. This element. Let me just rotate it a little. Okay. This is nice. So I'll hold my. I'll click on this element. Hold my shift key. Click on experience. I want to actually group the E, the X, and the other text, and then enlarge it. So I'll hold my Ctrl G to group it. Click on Ctrl T, transform, and then increase the size. This is what I actually want us to do here. All right, so the next thing is to group this whole team. I'll group the whole team by clicking on this, the first group. Click on the Koinonia, then click on Ctrl G. I will name it team. So what I actually want to do here, if you look at elements, the elements we have here, you discover that it is somehow slant. So we want the text, our team, to blend perfectly with it. So I'll click on Ctrl T to transform. I'll take my mouse, my cursor here, click on right click, and then click on scale. I'll take it up. So I'll drag down to see if I'm actually having my desired result. Okay, I think this is good to go. Yeah, experience Koinonia, but Apostle's picture seems like is covering the K, which is the Koinonia, so I have to shift his picture a bit. Okay, this is okay. Now I forgot to add, there's an element I want to add again. I want to add to the background, so let me add that very element. I forgot to add it, so let's add it now. So we have, I'll go to look at this very element now. This touch, this is the element we want to add. Okay, yeah. So I'll click shift Apostle's image a little. Okay, so let me shift this. Okay, yeah. Let me take it up above. All right, okay, we are heading to somewhere. Okay, we are almost going there. So this is what we are having now. So we have experience Koinonia. I'm going to write this Sunday below. I'm going to make use of the same font but different family. So I will go below. I will make use of this very font family. Yes, this very one. So I'll write this Sunday. I will reduce the size of it. Okay, so sorry, there was a mistake. Okay, so I'm trying to reduce the size of it. Okay, this size, this one is okay, but we need to scale this also to align perfectly with the element and the theme. But before then, I'll add spacing in between uh in between our text. So this is okay. 200 is okay. So let me change the font size of it again. All right, so I'll click on Ctrl T to transform. Right click and click on scale. All right, so we have something like this is okay. So let me reduce the size a little by 15. By 15, increase the space in between the text. All right, okay. So we have this now. We have this now. The next thing is to bring our texts. So bring our text. So I'll just go to the previous file, the previous work. Get okay. Before then, sorry. Before then, I want to blend this apostles image below. I want to blend it. So I will make use of this gradient fill we use at the beginning. I want to duplicate it. So I'll hold my control. I'll hold my alt key and then click and drag up to create a duplicate of it. We're having something like this, but there is no need to panic. Just click on this layer here, this very layer, and then click on Control I to invert it. We've already inverted it. You click on your brush tool. Click on your brush tool. Now we have black as the foreground, so you change the foreground to white. White reveals, black hides. So this is not sure, so I'll click on, for me to bring out to make my brush tool visible, I'll remove it from the caps lock and then increase the size of my brush. So carefully, let me reduce the flow of it. So I'm having something like this. Now the reason I'm doing this, I just want to add beauty to it. You can decide to add, I can decide to leave it this way, I can decide to add, but I prefer using this to blend the down part of it, just to add that beauty to the design. All right, so let's quickly get our text and drag it. Okay, so I created the tone paper. There is a tone paper I created. All right, let me just take my, okay. So we now have our date here. I have to take this to the center. Since I have this, we have something like this. Okay, so our location, also click and drag our location here. So I have to take it to the center. Okay, so I think it's not actually at the center. So I'll click on the folder, click on my background, and then click this very place, this. So I have it we have it at the center of it container. So we will have to include apostle's name now. So I'll still do the same thing. Take the text, drag here, and take it here. This is apostle's name here. There's another element I added below. Okay, this is it. Okay, so this is it, but I want us to make a little retouch, just a finishing touch on it by adding a lens flare. Okay, so let's add some lens flare to our design. So I'll put a lens flare here. Put a lens flare here. I'll click on Ctrl J to duplicate. I'll drag the lens flare. I'll drag the lens flare somewhere here. Okay, this is perfect. Okay, so another place I want to add. Okay, all right, let's continue. I want to add another lens flare too. I want us to use lens flare to add a touch of a beauty to what we are doing. So I'll click on Ctrl J again. I'll take the lens flare here, but I'll reduce the size of the lens flare by, okay, yeah, we have something like this. So I want to add a dove here. I'll add a picture, the image of the dove, Okay, we are almost done. Just want to add little things to add beauty to our design. Okay, this is the dove here. So I'm going to flip this dove. I'm going to flip it to face towards the direction of apostle. Let me reduce the size again. All right, something like this is good to go. Let me take, let's see something. Okay, let me take all right, something like this is good to go. Another thing I want us to do here is this image. We have a light reflection coming from the back of apostle's picture, and because of this light, it has to reflect. So I'll just do a little bit of a photo manipulation here by adding light to apostle's picture behind. So I will click on my adjustment layer. I'll add a solid color to it. This solid color is okay. So I'll clip max it to apostle's image. I'll clip max, change it to screen. Then I want to blend it. So I'll double click on the color fill. So I'll go to underlying layer. I will hold my Alt to split this. So I've splitted it now. Okay, so I'll still hold my Alt key, click on this, and then reduce. Okay, yeah, this is, I want to add okay. Now we won't just leave the picture like that. So all I have to do, I have to click on this layer mask, then click on Ctrl I to invert it. I click on my brush. So this time around, I'll reduce my flow. To around 25. Reduce the size of my brush. So I'll just gently click on apostles just to show that the light is reflecting on his image. All right, so I will show us the little. Okay, so let's look at this. This is the before, this is the after. This is the before, this is the after. We have the before, we have the after, we have the before, we have the after. This is before, we have the after. Okay, think we are almost done. So the next thing I want us to do, this is, we are through with the design, but I want us to color grade it. I want everything to have the same color, both the images and the design itself. So what we have to do here is I will go to my adjustment layer, click on my adjustment layer, and then I will click on color balance. I'll click on color balance. I have my mid tone, so I'll add a bit of a red to my mid tone. I'll add a bit of red to my mid tone. I'll add a bit of blue to my mid tone. My shadow, okay, I want my shadow to have a little of a magenta. No, let me add a little of green to it, then blue, little of blue to it. So this is my highlight. I will increase the yellow on my highlights because I have lens flare, so I want it to pop out. I have yellow, so I will add red to it. Okay, the next thing I will do here is I will see, because what we are doing now, we are trying to color grade them. I'll go to my color lookup. I'll click on three stripe here. So I'll reduce the opacity. I'll reduce my opacity to around okay, 30 is okay. Then I'll move to color filter again. I will choose deep yellow. I'm going to choose deep yellow here. So I'll reduce the opacity, I'll reduce the density a little to 17. I will also reduce my opacity to around let's leave it to 70. Okay, so the final thing I will do here is just to add a little lens flare light. So this is the lens flare we'll use during the designing of the flyer. So I'll just keep it here. Okay, so I have to create an invisible stamp. We are done with the design, but I want us to create an invisible stamp layer where we'll have to take the overall design to camera raw filter and bring out the beauty out of the design. So to do this, I have to click on Ctrl Shift Alternate E. I've created an invisible stamp layer here. I'll convert to smart objects. I've converted to smart objects. So the next thing I will do is to take this to camera raw filter by clicking on Ctrl Shift A. Where we'll do the overall editing. Okay, so I'll go to my details. I will increase the sharpening. To around 85. Go to basic. Increase the exposure to 15. Contrast to around 8. Highlight to 2. Shadow, I will reduce the shadow to 15. Light to 2. Then black, I'll reduce the black to around 10. Okay, so we are adding a beauty to our overall design. So I'll take my texture to 20, clarity to around 10, clarity to around 10, and then my vibrance to 7. I'll go to color grading. Now in this color grading, I'm only going to touch the mid tone. The mid tone, that's really where I'm going to touch. And I have to use, I'll look for a color that suits my tastes here. Okay, so I'm going to make use of okay, I think something like this is okay. All right, so let me add a little of vignette. Let me add a little of black to the edges. Okay. All right, so this is our overall design. This is our overall design. So I want to save, so I click on Alt Control S. I want to save it. Okay, so yeah, so thank you for following through on how we created this flyer design. Don't forget to subscribe and invite most of your friends that are creative to also be part of the knowledge you gained during the course of the flyer design. Thank you. See you in the next tutorial.